with Dennis Helms again. We are at the end of the week of the reunion, the 53rd reunion of the Battle at Hamburger Hill with the Rakkasans, Clarksville, and we have spent a few days up at Fort Campbell together. For me personally, it's been an amazing experience, obviously meeting all of you and getting some insight to what all this means to you as such. And we had earlier today a great conversation at lunch talking about the importance and about these reunions and how to meet each other and such. And I just wanted to understand a little bit more about your feelings about it and why you believe or you think this is important.
Okay, well, it is very important to me because I think all veterans feel the need to be with their brothers that they are in combat with. Combat troops have a special bond that is hard for other people to understand. We've done through the years, we've tried to get folks to come out here, and some won't for various reasons. But if they could only understand how much good it will do for them. My wife and I started coming out here in 2000.
Yeah.
And I've been to every one since except for 1 year when I had surgery, and then of course when we didn't have it because of COVID. It's a highlight of my year. I look forward to it every year. And if you'll ask most of these guys out here, they'll tell you the same thing. A lot of guys seem not to come because they have the basic feelings that every one of us virtually had when we first came. Bear in mind, we were combat troops, and we had to do some very difficult things. And my first year to come out here, it was difficult for me because I was kind of like playing a mind game on myself. I was thinking, what will those guys say to me? What will I say to those guys? And when we got here and got to the hotel, I saw a gathering room off to the side where we signed into the hotel. There were a lot of guys in there. I did a quick glance. I didn't see anybody that I recognized. And what I saw was a bunch of old guys in there. They're a whole lot older now. But that kind of concerned me. And I think I've told you this before, but we took our bags up to the room, and when we came back down and got off the elevator, almost walked into Sergeant Wright, our platoon sergeant. And he hugged me 3 times and said, "Give me some love and hug me, give me some love and hug me." Then right behind him was Frank Bosher, our platoon leader. And I can't remember, but there's probably 7 or 8 other guys from our platoon. And they were there. And man, that just, I felt at ease with those guys. And we had a wonderful and great time. It's not anything like some people, even myself, imagine that, you know, some people might be confrontational with you, or none of that. We were just happy to see each other, to be with each other, laughing, yucking it up. You've seen that this week. And it's a time that you could not put a money value on it. And I love that. That first year that we came, My wife and I drove home. It was a 9-hour drive. Of course, she heard some things that she'd never heard before because I didn't talk about Vietnam. In fact, if you go back and see some of the letters that I wrote from Vietnam, they were just plain and simple. Hello, how you doing? Hope everything's fine. I'm okay. Be glad when I get home. Tell everybody I said hi. I love you. And that was pretty much it. Plain, boring, vanilla stuff. I didn't tell her where anything was, where we were or what was going on. I might say, well, you know, we're in the mountains, we're across rivers today, you know, but that was about it.
Yeah.
But I never will forget that when we pulled back off of Hamburger Hill, our platoon to be the guard for the battalion CP, we were not involved in the last push. And of course, we didn't get mail while we were up there. And we've been in a pretty good battle on Firebase, which became Firebase Airborne, on the other side of the HR Valley. So I hadn't gotten mail in quite a long time. But mail came in down at the battalion perimeter. And I got a letter from my wife. And it broke my heart. She was saying they hadn't gotten a letter from me in a long time. What was happening? Was I all right? Was I in a hospital? What was going on? Because the other operation, then certainly at Hamburger Hill, writing a letter was one of the last things on my mind. And I sat down and I guess you might say I kind of cried like a baby. That my family was so upset, my wife is so upset that they hadn't heard from me. And I wrote a quick letter, and when a chopper came in, resupply or whatever it was, I ran over and handed it to one of the door gunners and asked him to mail it. I wanted it to get out as soon as possible. So she really didn't know much about Vietnam. And that trip, that 9-hour trip back home after that first reunion, 9-hour drive, and we did not turn the radio on, and all the way home, she would ask questions, and I would try to give her answers as best I could. And sometimes what she would say would cause me to go on and try to give her as much information as I could without being too graphic or anything like that. So part of the time I was riding home and I was tears rolling down my cheeks. I mean, I just couldn't help it. But that first reunion, I realized, you know, I've opened up somewhat. That's good. I felt a certain amount of relief or pressure. And I thought, I've got to come back out there, go back out there. And that's why I've been every year since, except like I've already explained to you. And I don't intend to miss any more, but we're all getting older. We can't travel as far or as long. And our numbers are going to dwindle because we're having health problems. But I'd encourage anybody, not just our group, but any veteran, find some of your buddies, form a small group, get together, try to encourage more people to come. Because the burden that combat troops carry is extremely heavy, and I'm talking about mentally. And these other guys, when you can sit and share with them and they can share with you, it's therapeutic, you know. every one of these reunions, we thought the 50th reunion, nothing can top that. Well, as far as the activities and all, they never will, because these guys out here, they pulled out all the stops for us. But we've had 2 more reunions now. And I feel the same thing at these reunions that I did in the past reunions. Hey, this is the best yet. Every year. Yeah. I don't know if I'm different from other people, but that's the way I feel. Some may hesitate to come because they don't want to bring their wives, think their wives might be uncomfortable with what goes on. No. When the chapter was formed, it was small and close-knit, and the wives got to be tremendous friends. In fact, I dare say some of our wives communicate with each other more than we do ourselves as veterans. Yeah. In fact, that's how I find out a lot of my information. My wife will tell me that she's talked with several of the other wives, and they relate stuff, and so, and she looks forward to coming out here too. The other wives do too. So if a guy thinks he has to come out here by himself and leave his wife at home, there should be no fear for that, because she will be as readily accepted as he is and be brought into the group. Now, we've had some folks that come out and they kind of just stand back to themselves, and we've made efforts to reach out to them and bring them in the group, but some of them just would not, and we can't help that. But it's the most beneficial thing a guy will do for himself as far as the service he's had in combat. We have a bond, and I guess we're determined to not let anything break that bond again, I love these guys. Well, it's not just for us veterans. We come out here so we can remember those who lost their lives in the Battle of Hamburger Hill. This morning we went out to the pylon for the pylon ceremony. The entire battalion was out there. A band was out there. And of course we had the speeches such as that. But the whole time I'm sitting there, I'm thinking about that wall over there at the pylon that has all those names of all the guys in the 101st that have been killed since World War II up to modern day times. And then when it's over with, then you go over there to that wall and you begin to look for names of the guys that you knew. And there are too many of those names on that wall. And it brings back memories, and you begin to reflect on the loss and how great it is, and that we have a responsibility to never forget those men's names. And then tonight, I really look forward to the memorial dinner. Yes, we yuck it up and have fun there too. Yeah. But then we have a time where we read the names of those who died on Hamburger Hill. That's a very solemn time. And as we read the names, we have the men who knew each individual stand. And to me, that's very impressive and very moving. I consider it an honor and a privilege to stand up and represent that name, that man. It's not just a name. We love those guys. And we continue to do so. And somebody asked me, really just minutes ago, said, do you feel their presence when you stand at that wall? And I just thought about it. Yes I do. It makes me feel like I'm a little closer to them again, because I remember them, the price they paid. But not only them, but their family and their friends and their communities. It's not just a man dying in combat. It's his entire family and community and however many lives he had touched before that. I feel like it's our duty to remember these guys. And if I couldn't come out here and have a good time, I would certainly want to be here so I could remember those guys myself. I would encourage every veteran, no matter where they are, seek out other veterans, especially those that you knew, because you have common bonds, you have things in your life that both of you shared and went through, hardships. And most of all, remember the ones that you lost. They don't have a voice anymore. We can be their voice for them to keep their names, their memories alive. And I'm just so thankful that I'm able to come here each year. And I hope that others will begin to make their way out here as well.